You are listening to the oneofus.net podcast network.
Something's coming.
Stand by. Hold on to your hats. Here we go.
Welcome to the Screamcast, episode 148. I am Sean DeRager, and with me is Brad Henderson.
Hey, Sean.
And with us as well is Stephanie Crawford.
Hey, Sean. Hey, Brad. Hey, everybody else.
Poor Stephanie has been sick for like 2 months or something. It seems like she's coming
Don't make
off
her
of
laugh.
I was born sick.
So that's why we've had a little bit of, we couldn't record last week. This show, I feel like, has been epic in just trying to get together, trying to gather everyone together. BJ has been traveling, and she was not able to join us on this episode. We will keep trying to gather all of us together. And that reminds me, I need to change our little header at the website. I need to add Stephanie's name in there. So I'm adding that to my list of things that I need to do on the website. Top priority.
Thanks. Appreciate it. Sorry I have such a long name.
It's okay. We'll fit it in somewhere. Brad, are you throwing Blu-rays across the room?
Dude, I am like in the most awkward position. My computer's probably going to fall down. Like Jazz is tied up in my cords and she's trying to get out.
By the way.
And I'm holding my drink and I'm holding the computer. Jazz.
See,
all right, I got to unplug my headphones.
Should I meet Brad for a second?
Jazz, go lay down.
Okay.
Jazz, go lay down.
This is the peak into trying to schedule these.
Oh my God.
This is what it was like. This is what it's like to get a show scheduled right here. All right, today, as Brad's getting settled, I will let you guys know what we're doing today. Today we are talking about the last couple batches of Vinegar Syndrome releases. All right, Brad, are you okay? Are you there?
I'm here. Oh my God.
Do you need a breather, or are you okay?
No, I'm good.
All right.
So I have had my drink because I don't have my desk. I just basically have this just this stand for just like a what do you call it, like a little
like a
side
TV
table?
dinner, like a TV dinner tray. You're like one of those aluminum TV dinner trays that you like find in your grandparents' house.
No. It's a side table that's in my office because I don't have my desk right now. Right, I got rid of my desk, so I'm just like using this for the time being. And so I have like my drink on my laptop, like sitting on my laptop.
Okay.
And then Jazz like does a sneak attack right between my legs. So when she pops up, because I'm like hovering over my laptop, so she like popped up and her head hit the computer, started to fall forward. I had to grab the drink. She's trying to get out, but she got tangled up in my headphones. Nothing spilled. Everything's fine. Blu-rays did fall over, but we're good.
Okay. All right. And with that, lady and gentlemen, Brad, let's jump into what's on our doorstep.
Holy cow. I almost forgot.
We'll get the door.
I don't know if everyone can hear. If you guys hear, like, it sounds like bones grinding in the back of in the background here. I don't know. I tried to crank my microphone gate up a little bit, but my dogs are deep into some bones. They're chewing on some bones, hardcore.
So when are we going to have an all-dog podcast? Because I feel like that's the direction we're going.
We should make that work.
I could borrow a dog. I have cats, but I can make it work.
Okay. We'll work on that. I'm sure that'll be as easy to schedule as this Vinegar Syndrome podcast episode for sure. All right. I'll go first. Yes. Is that all right, everybody?
Hey, you know what, Sean? You go right ahead, but if you cut me motherfucking short, all right, go ahead.
I will not cut you short. All right,
1 minute per movie.
A few things I wanted to talk about here. The first one is a movie that just came out, directed by Greg McLean, who directed the movie Wolf Creek. And this is starring Daniel Radcliffe. The movie is called Jungle. It's based on a true story about this guy named Yossi Ginsburg.
Oh my God, I saw that movie forever ago.
Yeah, it finally came out by Momentum Pictures, put it out. And this is a fucking good movie. Holy shit. Go in. Like, I didn't really read about this Yossi Ginsburg before. I just knew it starred Daniel Radcliffe, and it was directed by the director of Wolf Creek. So I was like, that's all I need to know, and I'm totally in. But it's the story of this guy who gets lost in the jungle, and it's great. Daniel Radcliffe is a powerhouse. He is just he's really becoming one of my favorite actors. He just goes all in on these films. The movie is, the characters in it, they're funny. There's like surprisingly, like, you really enjoy these characters, like their banter back and forth. You really care about them. It's just a really good film. So if you can check this out, definitely do so. And what I read was what happens in the movie is tame compared to things that really happen in real life. That was almost too much for people to believe in movie form. So, but really good flick. Check it out. It's called Jungle.
I remember that being fairly boring.
What? No. You're thinking of like The Lost World of Z or some shit. Like, that movie was.
No. I saw Jungle maybe about a year and a half ago.
Well, it's not a horror movie.
Yeah.
But,
no, I remember it. That's the reason why it probably took so long to come out. Kind of dumb. I'm kidding. I actually don't remember it.
Is that how it works?
Man, I can't even believe, like, fucking Greg McLean made a movie called The Darkness, and I've never even heard of that shit. I mean, I know he, like, did Wolf Creek 2, did Belko Experiment, did, what was that alligator crocodile movie he did?
Oh,
that's really good until, like, the last 5 minutes when it becomes The Shallows.
Rogue.
What was that? Rogue, yeah.
Rogue.
Like, the movie's amazing until, like, it gets in the layer, and you're like, man, this movie's dumb as fuck.
No, I liked it. All right, moving along here. Next up is a film called The Villainous. It's a Korean revenge film. And I don't want to go too much into it, but I dug it. They have some of the action choreography is a bit wonky, but I think the energy of the film and the twists and turns that it takes throughout this film kind of made up for it. I didn't like it as much as I thought I wanted to, but it's a really solid revenge film. And the actress,
it's really fun. It's
awesome.
It's La Femme Nikita on crack.
Yeah.
It's exactly. It's the plot of La Femme Nikita. It's a girl gets groomed to be an assassin. She wants to have a life, and then a bunch of bad shit happens to her. But it's got some great action sequences.
The opening scene is fucking bonkers. You think, what was that first person flick that came out a while ago that was kind of dumb?
Hardcore Henry.
Hardcore Henry. Think Hardcore Henry, but good. And this opening scene is just, it's a motherfucker. It's great. And
honestly,
my wife
like,
actually really dug it too.
I didn't like Hardcore Henry all that much, but I will say that at least, like, there was just a little too much in The Villainous where it was way too fake looking. At least Hardcore Henry looked legit. It just didn't have a good story.
Gotcha. Yeah.
But anyways, whatever. I still love The Villainous. I think it's one of the better action movies of the year.
Yep.
Probably like in the least top like 5 or 10 action movies for sure.
Yeah. Worth checking out.
I actually prefer the motorcycle fight.
Oh, that's pretty badass. Yeah, that's pretty good.
That's the highlight of the movie.
Watch this if you want to kind of a kick-ass double feature, watch it with Atomic Blonde. I would say it'd be fun.
Or La Femme Nikita.
Or all three. Triple feature it.
Or Point of No Return.
I just got that for like $3. Can't wait to watch it. All right. moving along. I got this for $5 on Black Friday. I watched the Dark Tower adaptation, starring
Congratulations.
McConaughey and Idris Elba. Well, The Gunslinger is one of my favorite books of all time. Like, hands down, I love that book. I haven't delved into the other books of the Dark Tower series by Stephen King. This, like, I don't know what they were thinking, because they decided to make a sequel to all of the books into an hour-and-a-half film to basically tie all those books up, the storylines, tie it all together and end the whole series in an hour and a half. And it's bullshit. I don't understand why it took so long for them to adapt this. It's a horrible way to adapt a story on its own as like a 90-minute kind of fantasy action flick. Maybe it can work if you've never read the source material, but if you know anything about the source material, if you've read that awesome graphic novel of The Dark Tower, that's just an amazing adaptation itself, you're going to be extremely disappointed with this. I just thought it was still pretty good. Matt McConaughey is collecting a paycheck. That's all I got to say about that. But awful adaptation.
Damn.
Speaking of awful adaptations, I saw Ben Affleck's Live by Night. And I believe this is it's based off of something. No, the screenplay is by Ben Affleck. Never mind. It's a bad gangster flick. The first half is actually pretty good. You kind of get to know this character and everything, and then it just gets like, it screeches to a halt and gets incredibly dull, and you don't give a shit about him or anyone else in the film, and it's probably Ben Affleck's worst directed film. Do not recommend. Another Black Friday purchase.
That's a pretty big statement that's his worst film.
It's his worst directorial / writing effort. How's that?
No, I'm just giving you shit. I don't think he's direct. Like, I haven't seen Live by Night, but I mean, the dude's got some fucking talent behind him. So
there's
it's
a
like,
fan. Yeah. It seems rushed. I don't know what happened. Like, it seems like he had a really good idea going, and then he kind of just gave up, or was rushed, or couldn't finish it, or something. Something is off about it. There's a really great, like, Model T car chase, like this gangster car chase. But it does the whole, like, there's way too many bullets flying, and he gets off completely unscathed. So, like, you know, that kind of stuff, because he's normally very, very good about setting up an action sequence or a chase sequence. But there's probably one cool scene in it, and the rest of it just starts just grinding to a halt and just becomes super slow, and you don't care. He's just trying to build this casino, and it's just, you know, just doesn't really go anywhere. Moving along to something that does go somewhere. This is Kino. Was it Kino? Yeah, released the movie Rolling Vengeance on Blu-ray. It's a 1987 revenge flick. Think, I don't know, Death Wish with a monster truck. And you'll pretty much get an idea what Rolling Vengeance is. It's a lot of fun. Takes a while to get to the monster truck, but a pretty great payoff when it does arrive. Ned Beatty is hamming it up. If you... normally he kind of plays these bumbling type characters. He's a good character actor. Here he's the villain. He's like a 50-year-old rockabilly bar owner, strip club owner villain, and it's fun. So I could recommend Rolling Vengeance.
Yeah, it's been a while since I've seen that, but I remember that being a little fun.
It's fun. If you like these types of movies, and you find this Blu-ray for cheap, or I'm not sure. Like, sometimes these movies are showing up on like Amazon Prime streaming and stuff like that. Like, it's a good time. Next, I got two left. All right. Next is Nicholas Refn. How do you say his name? The Neon Demon.
Refn.
Starring Ellie Fanning. Ellie Fanning was in Live by Night as well. She's getting to be a favorite actress of mine. She's always pretty good in what she does. She's fantastic in Neon Demon. People have thought that this is kind of a pretentious film on Refn's part. I really, really, really dug it. I love the color palette of it. I love how everything was staged. I was enthralled with the story and the character. And I just loved it. I just kind of went along for the ride and enjoyed every minute of this flick. So people will say that it's kind of shallow and whatever. Like, I think it's just a great, stylish film. Ellie Fanning totally dominates in this. She's fantastic. Anybody have any thoughts on Neon Demon?
No, I really like it.
I don't get I don't get the hate.
Made me profoundly sad.
Mm.
Like, I fell into a depression afterwards.
Wow. Okay. Wow.
But not because it was bad or anything. I agree with you that I don't think it's shallow at all, as stylish as it is. It actually hit a lot of emotional points for me that I wasn't expecting.
That's interesting. Wow, that's in a way that's cool. Like to hear that the movie can be affecting like that. It's great. Not that you got depressed. That's not great. But
you heard it here. Sean said it was great that I'm depressed. Everybody, I'm glad we have this on record.
All right, and finally, I saw for the first time ever in my life the movie Wild Things, starring Kevin Bacon, Matt Dillon, Neve Campbell, and Denise Richards. I was pausing for emotional effect. This movie is fun, and I always thought it was just some kind of lame sexploitation or whatever, sexy time, erotic thriller. It has that maybe, but if you're going in expecting a lot of sexy time, like Showgirls, which that's a bad example because that sexy time is not very sexy. But Wild Things is a lot of fun. It's kind of this erotic-ish mystery, wannabe, sleazy noir. Kevin Bacon is great. Matt Dillon is fantastic. And but who steals this movie is Bill Murray. Completely steals this movie. He's great. He plays kind of like this sleazy lawyer. But a lot of fun and a lot of twists and turns, and I'd never seen it before. And everyone's talking about Kevin Bacon's dick in it. It's hardly even in it, everyone. It's just you get it's more like side dick, really.
Don't slice the bacon.
Don't brush over his dick like that.
He's just turning in the shower and grabbing a towel. It's a big deal.
He gets to show his little pee-pee. Let it happen.
All right, that was that was me. I had some good, lot of good stuff that I've been watching, I think.
So,
except for a couple that I told you were bad, but all in all, though, fun times.
Cool. All right, Steph, what do you got?
Sorry. Because I've been sick for so very long, there's been a lot of comfort watching for me. A few weeks ago, I saw Thor Ragnarok, and I loved it. And I've been pretty about the Marvel movies. Some of them I've enjoyed a lot, but I've kind of been okay just seeing them once at the theater and not seeing them again. But that I don't know what happened. It just sent me into a fangirl mode. So I've been rewatching a lot of the Marvel movies, which I highly recommend if you're sick. I don't really get hyped on big event movies. I only watch trailers if they're put right in front of me for the big movies. But I don't know. It's just been a lot of fun. I think I'll still always defend Iron Man 3, mostly because I'm a Shane Black stan. But
I love Iron Man 3. Is that people hate it?
Oh, yeah.
Suck.
Oh, dude,
Yeah.
that movie is widely hated.
Fuck everyone hates that movie.
Well, fuck me then, because I think it's the biggest piece
Fuck
of
you,
shit
Brad.
in the world. Yeah, that and Iron Man 3, Thor 2, and Thor 3 are definitely the fucking bottom of the fucking barrel.
Man.
Oh, jeez.
Jesus. Never mind. Brad,
So
shut
anyway,
up.
about how
Stephanie,
these movies
keep
make
talking.
me profoundly happy. Oh, no, sorry. But yeah, I've been in very random moods. I've been rewatching some things I love, but you know, I've been trying to check some other things out too. I finally watched Cube.
Ooh.
Which, you know, that's one of those movies I've been hearing about since I was a young teenager. That, you know, it's like Dark City, where it has that, like, smaller, really devoted fan base. It's like, no, you gotta see it, it's genius. So I finally sat down, and I loved it. You know, it has themes all over the place. It's a little bit clunky, but it's so innovative. I think the actors did a great job. And the lead actress in it was in Kids in the Hall, so that's like 100 points right there for me. But it just, you know, you can see how influential this movie was, too. It was a hell of a lot of fun. I'm glad I finally got around to seeing it. I'm going to have to see the sequel soon.
The sequels, I would say, like, Cube 2, like, you can probably skip. But Vincenzo Natali is the writer-director. He wasn't involved in the sequels. Cube 0 is actually kind of fun. It's a prequel. And that one, I think, is actually kind of a fun, not as good, but a kind of a fun sequel, kind of a little more world building. But Cube 2, like Hypercube or something like that, you can watch.
Hypercube. It's called Hypercube.
I mean, I would say give it a shot, but I mean, definitely, it's definitely not as good. But even if you don't like, if you watch Cube 2 and you're like, oh shit, I'm not going to go forward, like give Cube 0 a chance for sure. But I was going to ask you, Steph, have you seen Splice? Vincenzo Natali's other
Oh,
film?
was that him?
Yeah.
The one with
Adrian Brody and Sarah Polley and
yeah. I
awesome.
actually wasn't a huge fan of that one, so
I love it.
Interesting.
But I feel like Vincenzo Natali is a director. He's done a lot of TV and stuff. He's done a couple of feature films. Like I would love to. I mean, Splice was people were so divided on it. Like I don't think he got too much work after Splice, unfortunately. But he's a director that I really want to see do a lot more.
Wait, so you like Splice?
I love Splice.
I love
it.
God. Jesus.
I mean, well, I like creature features, and there's, this one goes to some fucked up places. I always appreciate that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't enjoy it, but it looked great, and it definitely took some chances. He's not anyone who deserves to have his career not.
He's done he's done some Hannibal stuff, Orphan Black,
He had that really awful fucking ghost movie that was fucking stupid.
Oh, Haunter.
Shit. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my god, that movie's fucking garbage.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Let's stick to TV, man.
It's sad. He's a director. I've heard some interviews with him. I really like him as a person. Like I feel like Splice kind of, unfortunately, like maybe I don't know. Maybe he was a little too confident on Splice and kind of, but I like Splice a lot. So I don't know, whatever. Judge me. Judge away, people.
Already did.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Another one I branched out on was The Devil's Honey, the Lucio Fulci movie.
Oh, nice. I need to watch that.
How'd that movie make you feel?
No. Okay. I didn't go in completely blind. I knew, it's like an erotic thriller. There was a trend at the time with Italian movies, like really cranking those out. But wow. Even knowing it was Fulci, I really wasn't used to seeing it's like like the foot scene in New York Ripper, if you're like, yeah, let's make an entire film feel like this a little bit.
Yeah.
It was filmed really well. I thought when it did it was a little more quiet and emotional. I thought it was fairly successful with that. Like a lot of Italian erotic thrillers, some of the emotional cues made no sense, but the lead still had good chemistry. But it is crazy.
Sorry, my dogs are fighting. I apologize for the interruption.
No, I've always liked The Devil's Honey. It's just one of those movies that, like, you remember. Like, it's one of the, like, because I remember getting into Fulci, watching a lot of the horror stuff, and then I stumbled across that, and I was like, oh, man, can't wait to see what this is. And I watched it, and I was young at the time. I was probably, 13. And,
oh, God.
yeah, I watched it, and I was like, oh, my fucking God. Like, what is, like, why, these movies, like, I remember, like, watching, like, erotic thrillers of the 90s, American films, but this had something. This one was just slimy and dirty, like slimier and dirtier, I guess.
Yeah, like the scene with the nail polish. I was almost like, man, I don't know if I'm still old enough to watch this.
Wow,
Yeah.
I need to move this to the top of my to watch pile, especially after Wild Things.
Yeah, it's
Great date night movie. Definitely.
Yeah, you will definitely get some.
You might not like what you get some of, but you'll get some.
Yeah, you're gonna get something. So the Severin released the entire like the long version, right? Because that movie's been like trimmed down for years. Like this is the
uncut.
Okay, cool.
Or whatever.
Yeah, and it looks gorgeous.
That's nice to
You
hear.
can really see every little bit of it in crystal clarity. It's great. Another one completely the opposite way of The Devil's Honey. I finally saw Crime Wave.
Oh wow, that movie's a ton of the Raimi film.
Mm-mm. Yeah. Sorry, I
Yeah.
need to take a lot of tea breaks. Like Brad, I'm a huge fan of the Evil Dead films. And I remember back when I was first really into the Evil Dead movies and reading about what else they did in their career. And I was like, wow, there's like a caper comedy that Sam Raimi wrote with the Coen brothers and Bruce Campbell's in it. That's amazing. And it's definitely like, it's very madcap. All their influences from the Three Stooges are everywhere. It's very, very, very silly. And Brian James is in it, who I'm a big fan of, and seeing him be almost a cartoon character was a lot of fun because he's usually pretty intimidating. But this is such a goofy throwback movie. It was a lot of fun to see. And just dissolves that you see in like Dark Man and seeing them having it in this. It was really cool to see them do something that isn't an Evil Dead movie at that stage of their career.
I need to see this. I've never heard of this.
Oh yeah, it's a ton of fun, man. Came out on Blu-ray, right? I think in the
it was
Factory or
Shout Factory, yeah.
Yeah, a few years ago they released it.
How
Yeah.
did I miss this? Okay. I'm going to spend money right now on the show.
You're so badass.
Did I get a commission?
Oh, I know why I didn't buy it. The cover's awful. I was like, what the fuck is this shit? I didn't even bother even. I didn't even bother.
Judging a book by its cover.
Totally, of course.
automatically.
I did that, of course.
Yeah,
not gonna lie.
coming from Shout Factory, Scream Factory as the fucking worst commission artwork ever. Oh wait, they used the original poster. Never mind.
Oh, did they? Oh, okay. They didn't pull like a Criterion do something completely shitty, like the Election Day artwork. or the Brood artwork?
Yeah, no, I think it's the original poster.
Okay, all right.
VHS,
well, then,
maybe.
Okay, well, I'll forgive them. But I'm gonna add this to my wish list. How's that? I'll do that for now.
It's pretty good.
All right. To anyone else, if you can kind of squint when you look at the cover, it's a lot of fun if you like slapstick. And
awesome.
Yeah, it's the Coen brothers of Sam Raimi.
Yeah, I mean that alone sells me on it.
Yeah.
And then I'll just do one more. I finally saw Personal Shopper.
Oh, yeah.
And I was a little nervous about it just because I get nervous when everyone's in love with something. Not because I'm a contrarian or anything. It makes me nervous that I believe in jinxing things, I guess. But it was...
I'm the same way.
Yeah, it was lovely. Kristen Stewart, who I've always been a fan of. I've never held Twilight against her. That's a big break to have early in your career. And, ever since she was in Panic Room, she's been great. And she's only getting better. She is so natural and just cool in this without trying to be cool. It's a simple plot. A lot happens in it. But it kind of floats you from scene to scene. And it's one of those films I like a lot where I feel like I can kind of just surrender to it. My brain isn't trying to figure anything out. I'm just experiencing it completely. And it's gorgeous. And even though it's a slow-moving, quiet movie, it was a lot of fun in a weird way. It's not a fun film, but it was such a total experience. I can see why so many are crazy for it. It was very lovely. I'm glad I finally watched it.
Yeah, top 10 or 11 today, and I couldn't that and Ghost Story. I think they're a perfect pair to double feature or at least watch in the same week. Both really beautiful and lovely movies. I was never really a fan. I gave this one a free pass because I've never been a Kristen Stewart fan. And I do hold Twilight against her because I had to sit through those fucking movies. I've watched them, sadly.
I've never seen a Twilight film. Proud of that.
It was American Ultra that you have a lot of things to be ashamed about. So,
wow.
But yeah, American Ultra was the movie that I was like, all right. I mean, it was a simple movie for her. I mean, she was still playing Kristen Stewart, but I was like, okay, I can dig this. And then, I watched Personal Shopper when it hit on demand, and I was blown away by it.
Awesome.
And I was never she's a cute girl, but there's the one sequence in Personal Shopper where it was a little awkward to probably be in the room with me watching that movie. I was like,
scene you're talking about, yeah.
I was like, oh my God, Kristen Stewart. Okay,
hello.
You're on my radar now. I
got the way whenever I see Daniel Radcliffe try to do a sex scene, that's how I feel too. Wait a minute.
Whoa.
I'm just kidding.
I don't think that's what Brad's talking about.
So, all right. Well, let's see. I'm going to blow through a lot of these quickly because I have 115.
Jesus Christ.
The last time we talked. All right. So, let's see here. I will start with, I think I talked about Wolves at Your Door already. That was the Manson movie. Yeah. All right. So I saw Thor 3, hated it, like usual. Here's
just give up on Marvel movies, man. They're not for you. Just give up on them.
All right. So I watched Wonder Woman.
Okay.
All right. I was prepared to fucking hate the shit out of Wonder Woman. And I thoroughly enjoyed fucking Wonder Woman. I thought it was fantastic. It's got so much heart. I'm finally watching a comic book movie that doesn't have like Thor does, has 32 characters for comic relief. You know, it's very serious. It does have some lighthearted little comedic moments, but for the most part, it's a good action movie. It's got great characters, and I'm kind of excited to see Wonder Woman 2, which I wasn't expecting to say at all. Then I watched Spider-Man: Homecoming. That was probably one of the worst Marvel movies I've ever seen.
Spider-Man: Homecoming is shit, everybody. The worst Spider-Man movie. The worst one. It's the worst one.
I would say Spider-Man: Homecoming is probably worse than Thor 3.
What's happening right now?
So, yeah, complete garbage. And then I know we're going to get shit for this, Sean, but I'll mention it. Willow and I had like a whole like weekend where Janice went camping with her girlfriends. So Willow and I just plowed through 37 movies, and she wanted to watch Transformers 5. You know what? Transformers movies are dumb, but I will say 5. I've seen them all just because Willow really likes them. I will say that Part 5 is definitely the best of the series, which is crazy to say. But it's
the best sequel.
It's charming. It's charming. It has a fun story. Anthony Hopkins. It was hard to say because, when I saw Anthony Hopkins was going to be in the movie, I was like, man, this is a paycheck. But he is thoroughly enjoying himself in that fucking movie.
Yeah.
He's in it a lot, and he's a lot of fun. It's a great, stupid fucking movie. Very fun. Saw The Exorcist for the first time. I don't know if I tweeted that out.
Whoa.
Yeah,
the series?
Yeah.
You mean the series?
No, the movie.
The first one.
Yeah. So
this blows my mind.
I mean, I won't talk about the movie because everybody loves it, and it's one of the best movies I've ever seen. But it's one of those movies where it's kind of like Jaws, because I saw Jaws for the first time a couple years ago as well, that you see so many parodies of it. You see so many homages to it. You see so many clips of it. You hear everybody talk about it. It's one of those things where it's like, oh, yeah, I've seen The Exorcist. But really, I've never sat down and watched it from start to finish. I know everything about it. I know everything that's going to happen. But I've actually never seen the movie.
Wow.
And it's fantastic. So that's easy.
Good job.
Jigsaw, which here's another one. I fucking hate the Saw films. I like the first one. Second one is bland, but it's serviceable. But Jigsaw is a lot of fun, and it takes the series in a little. It still feels like a Saw film, but they finally took that ugly looking blue and green gel out of the fucking lens and actually made the movie look a little normal. The only thing I would say that was kind of a downer for Jigsaw is that about 15 minutes into the movie, Willow and I are the only ones in the theater, and I turn to Willow and I'm like, this is what's happening. And she's like, nuh-uh, this is what's going on. And I turned out to be right. And I was like, okay, it's pretty easy what's like the twist, I guess you could say. But as far as a Saw movie goes, and this is Saw 8, it's definitely the best and has a lot of great little moments. But that's like, for that and Transformers 5, I'm just like, I'm saying that very lightly.
Yeah, well, yeah.
I'm saying that for really shitty movies that are actually turned. Here's the thing: is these movies I think are going to be super shitty. They're not great, but when you go in thinking of a movie like that and it turns out to be okay, then it's like, whoa, this is awesome. I didn't waste 2 hours of my life. Yeah, I didn't waste, like, Transformers is 3 hours fucking long, basically. I didn't feel like I wasted time. So that's a huge success for me. And then I finally got around to watching. This is actually a first-time watch for me this year. I talked about it on the show a few months ago. It came out in 2014. I don't know why I didn't watch it. It's just whenever spy stuff comes up, I'm not a big spy, espionage, suit and tie with, like, Walter PP7, like Bond and shit. I've only seen one Bond movie in my life. But I watched The Kingsman, and I loved the shit out of it. Finally got around to the sequel, and I loved it just as much. I was really satisfied with The Kingsman 2. I know a lot of people, like Sean and I talked about this offline, is that a lot of people, I guess, didn't like the sequel, but I think it holds up. I think it like everything that was kind of silly in The Kingsman, they amplify a little bit. So maybe that's why people didn't like it, because it does get a little crazy. But for the most part, the characters and kind of meeting the statesman, even though Channing Tatum's like in the trailer, don't go in thinking that Channing Tatum's in this movie. Like, it's actually the other guy with the lasso that's kind of the co-star.
I'll probably end up loving this, because I was kind of, lukewarm on Kingsman originally, because I was just like, because I've seen every freaking spy movie ever made, and I was kind of like, wow, this is just a spy movie. And then Samuel L. Jackson was a little annoying as the villain, but there was the really awesome like church massacre scene that I loved.
This has something like,
and him like all excited that he gets to have like butt sex with this girl that's like, held hostage at the end. I was kind of like, that was a weird way to end the movie.
People were really weirded out by the ending. I remember that was the first thing that I heard about. It's no big deal. It
was just kind of like, what? It's kind of like when Dodgeball ends.
I thought it was funny.
When Dodgeball ends, and Vince Vaughn's excited because he gets to have like a threesome with these guys. Like, it ends on like, I could have a threesome, and then it ends. It's like, what? What a weird way to end a movie.
You're the only person to fucking reference Dodgeball in a conversation.
Well, that's what that Kingsman. That's what it reminded me of. It was like, it was like, that was weird. He's all like seriously, like, you're supposed to be like super excited that he gets to have butt sex with this girl and like in her cell when he lets her free. Like, that's weird.
Right? I was excited about it. I mean, you find a girl, you're going to rescue her, and she says, "Hey, if you rescue me, I'll let you do anything. I'll let you put it in my butt." Like, why not?
That's just a weird reward. I don't know.
Motivation. Motivation.
I guess.
That sounds like if someone said this to me, I'd say, "Yeah, sure, I'm going to save the shit out of you." So
I'd be like, well, we can go like maybe grab a latte. Let's grab a latte.
Hey,
latte's on me.
I'll take. He's into the sequel, and it is actually pretty funny.
Awesome,
because the butt sex and that person comes up in the sequel.
Oh, does it?
It's a plot.
Fantastic.
So, but if you liked the church scene in The Kingsman, there's two scenes that kind of not mimic, but are kind of like that in a way. One involves a Prince song, and I thought it was fucking fantastic. And then I actually got done seeing 3 Billboards tonight. I don't know how I feel about it. I know that it's getting a lot of praise, but I'm kind of confused on why. I thought it was okay. I enjoyed the film, but I didn't love it. But I guess that's how I feel about the film. But on the other side, I'm really confused of why I love it so much. Yes, it has probably some of the best actors, and as far as portraying characters is really great. But I'm trying to separate that from the actual movie. But I mean, all around, I don't think anybody's going to hate it. I think everybody will enjoy it. But I don't know. And the other film that I saw at the theater a couple days ago was Lady Bird, which made my top 10 for sure. I don't really movies too often, but I probably broke down like 2 or 3 Bird. It's fantastic. It's beautiful. I know that's another one that's up for debate as far as like criticisms go. Maybe we'll talk about it when it hits Blu-ray. Get into the
I'm going to see it tomorrow. I'm excited.
Awesome. Yeah, I've been hearing some great things about it.
Yeah, I really like it. Waiting for Guffman finally came out on Blu-ray. This is one of my favorite Christopher Guest movies. Awesome. It's fucking funny as shit. I mean, if you like Christopher Guest, if you know who Christopher Guest is, if you've watched any of his previous films, this is one of his first films that he directed. I think it is the first film. Oh, wait, no, he directed Almost Heroes bullshit. Was that before or after Waiting for Guffman? He directed that Almost Heroes movie. But as far as like his mockumentaries go, this is his first film that he directed. Rob Reiner directed Spinal Tap, but very much on the line of that. If anybody hasn't seen it, Best in Show and stuff like that. He's a very funny director. He's very good at subtle comedy, which I absolutely love. I think the funniest things in his film, tiny things.
Waiting for Guffman is when oh gosh, Parker Posey works at the DQ, right?
Well,
are you there?
She's
Hello?
in with
Hello?
him.
Hello?
She's just. I can hear you.
Hi.
You're breaking up.
Hi, Sean.
Back to Parker Posey.
Wait, who's breaking up?
You were a little bit, but back to Parker Posey. She's great. But she plays a character. Is this one where she plays a character that works at the DQ? She's like naming off all the blizzards.
Yeah.
Teaches that, yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, I love this movie so much.
Next up was Arrow released Children of the Corn on Blu-ray, which looks really great. It's been on Blu-ray over here for a little while from like Image or something like that, and it's been okay, but whatever. It's definitely a better package. It looks great. I actually started watching some of the other Children of the Corn films, and I actually stopped at 4 because I don't know what the fuck I'm doing with my life.
How many are there?
There's like 9.
Oh, yeah.
4 was really, really tough. I was watching them with Willow, and I said, "You want to watch part 5?" And she almost got tears in her eyes. She was like begging me to stop. I was like,
Am I being
all right.
punished?
Yeah, she was like, "These are terrible. I can't do it." And I was like, "Yeah, Children of the Corn 2 isn't all that bad, but the rest are really, they're not good." I talked about this film before, but it recently hit Blu-ray, so I popped it in to check the transfer. It's fine. Another Warner Archive title, but Green Slime. I really enjoyed this one quite a bit. It's really weird. The backstory of them making it is pretty interesting. This is the director of Battle Royale making a movie in the fucking 60s. I believe it's the director of Battle Royale. I'm having a brain fart right now. But anyways, he did this like joint film with like an American company, casting American actors, casting a bunch of kids as the aliens, terrible aliens, but it's just a really corny and neat little movie. A movie that I've been waiting for to come out on Blu-ray for quite some time. It's been on DVD from Warner Archive. One of my favorite slashers, and this is still a through and through. So if you're a big fan of Giallo, you'll see a lot of the similarities. But it's Night School.
Night School.
Yeah, it's got
that too.
It's so good. It's got a great look of a killer. It's got some great death scenes. It's very good at like kind of homaging Fulci at times, but it's a really tight film, and I enjoy it quite a bit. Here's a film that you'll love, Sean. I think I told you about it a few times, so you need to get out your wish list. I'm a big fan of Shane Abbas. I think he's a fantastic director, mainly because he knows how to work a movie with a very small budget. He makes them look grand and spectacular. I saw this movie, I think it was 2016 Fantastic Fest, but it's called The Osiris Child, science fiction book.
Dude, it just showed up in my mailbox today.
Yeah, I talked about it before. It's a very normal story. There's not like any twists and turns. It's a very bland, familiar story, I guess you could say. But it's how Shane Abbas makes this look like a fucking $50 million movie. But I still want to know what the budget of this movie was, because I don't think it was over a couple million. I really don't. But when you watch it, you're like, man, this is fucking some epic shit. It's got great practical effects. He has these huge creatures that are in the film that are all practical. I don't think there's any digital effects with these guys, and they just look fantastic. And it's got kind of a sweet story, and you can stick with Kellen Lutz. He's fine, but he's also terrible.
I'm watching this
released.
Weekend, I can't wait.
Oh, watch it with your kids, man. It's a lot of fun.
I think it's weird that they did the subtitle like Science Fiction Volume 1. Like, I feel like that's just
you'll
does that
see.
make any sense with the film?
You'll see.
Okay, all right.
Well, no, I imagine he's going to do a big, like, a trilogy with these.
Well, yeah,
things,
but why is he calling it like Science Fiction Volume 1? That's just kind of sounds.
I don't know. I think it's kind of cool. I think it's kind of.
I don't mind. Just.
So
yeah,
next up was a film that I've wanted to. Go ahead.
No, we're good. I just can't wait to watch it. I'm excited.
You talking about my movie?
I had forgot that I had pre-ordered
it,
and it showed up in my mailbox, and I like friggin', squealed with glee as I opened up my little yellow padded envelope.
I think with you, I think you'll really, really love it. If anybody's a fan of sci-fi, I think it's a great sci-fi movie. And I mean, watch Infinity as well as another film that he did.
Yeah. Infinity is awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, he's a really talented dude. Another one was a Intervision release. This is a movie that I've wanted to see for quite some time. I was never able to find a decent-looking copy of it, so Severin put this out on DVD, but it was called Beyond the Seventh Door. Man, this movie is weird as shit. It's got this actor, his name's Lazar Rockwood, and he's like this pseudo, like, Tommy Wiseau character who, like, I mean, it's like, it's watching, this is all I'm going to say about the film. And if this doesn't get you to watch the movie, I failed. Imagine Tommy Wiseau in a Saw movie. That's what Beyond the Seventh Door is. And that's what I'm going to leave you with.
Oh, hi, Death Trap.
That's very much what it's like. Got around to watching the Mill Creek quote-unquote 4K of Night of the Living Dead. The transfer's not good at all. Come on, guys. Who the fuck are you kidding?
Oh, man. Criterion's going to knock that out of the park. And if you pre-ordered that early on, you're getting it for $18 because of Black Friday. So that'll be worth it. Wait for the Criterion, everybody.
There's a Japanese Blu-ray of Night of the Living Dead. It looks really great, but I'm sure Criterion's going to knock it out of the park. The Mill Creek thing is cheap. And I think it actually comes with a digital code.
Yeah, but it's a weird digital code. Like, it's not like
digital.
It's not like Ultraviolet. Like, it's you have to sign up for their thing, and it doesn't sync up with your own shit. So, whatever.
Weird. Another I bought a lot of I buy a lot of Warner Archive.
Yeah, like 50 more. 50 more to talk about?
Yeah, about 50 more. But Showdown in Little Tokyo, one of my favorite Brandon Lee films, a great action movie with Dolph Lundgren. They make a dynamic duo. It's been out on Blu-ray for a little while, I think, on Warner Archive, but a lot of fun nonetheless.
Ho, ho, holy shit! Happy holidays, everybody. This is Josh Obershaw for what appears to be the final news segment for 2017. It's kind of funny that I'm doing this by myself, considering the start of 2017, I was doing this by myself. So what a way to cap off what I think it has been a great year for Blu-ray releases, but 2018 is already shaping up to be pretty spectacular. So why don't we get right to it to find out what we can expect in the coming months. And we're going to start off with Criterion Collection. They announced 2 big horror films for their February slate, starting with The Silence of the Lambs, which comes out on February 13th, but also coming out on February 13th. Yes, folks, the rumors are true. It's going to be George A. Romero's Night of the Living Dead. That one is going to be chock full of extras, some of which were included on the Elite Entertainment DVD that came out several years ago. But nonetheless, we are getting Night of the Living Dead in a 4K restoration. How cool is that? All right, moving right along, Warner Brothers has set a release date of January 9th for the blockbuster horror hit It. Next up, Scorpion Releasing have set a firm January 23rd release date for their special edition Blu-ray of Dario Argento's opera, which I've already pre-ordered. Yay. Dark Sky Films have announced a February 6th release date for Victor Crowley, aka Hatchet 4. Mondo Macabro have set a February 13th release date for The Blood Splattered Bride. And also from Image Entertainment, Brawl in Cell Block 99. That one comes out actually on December 26th. Next up, I know Brad is very, very excited about this. Vestron Video have announced Class of 1999. That one comes out on January 30th. Also coming out on that day, Ken Russell's Gothic. Next, we're moving on to Arrow Video. They also announced their February slate. Their UK-only release will be Der Todesking. That one comes out on February 26th. Their UK-US releases. First up, The Gruesome Twosome, which comes out on February 5th in UK and the 6th here in the States. There's going to be a standard edition of The Bird with the Crystal Plumage. That one is coming out on February 12th and February 13th, respectively, as well as the film Scalpels, which is coming out on actually the 19th and the 20th, respectively. But what's really exciting is their one and only US release for February. It's going to be a limited edition of Basket Case. I already own this one on Blu-ray from Something Weird Video, but this just looks too sweet to pass up. So it's already on pre-order. So go and check it out and decide for yourself. Now we're moving on to Shout Factory, and we're going to start with Shout Select. They have set a January 9th release date for Joe Dante's Matinee, but also they recently announced they're also going to be doing a collector's edition of Dante's 1989 film, The Burbs. That one is coming out on March 20th. So if you guys were disappointed with the Best Buy exclusive Blu-ray, fear not. This one is probably going to be packed, and good, because that movie is awesome. Screen Factory. They've set a March 6th release date for The Strangers. That's going to be a collector's edition, as well as Behind the Mask, The Rise of Leslie Vernon. We know that. But the release date is going to be March 27th. They're also going to be releasing Fangs of the Living Dead on March 6th. The Ambulance comes to Blu-ray on March 13th, as well as the horror comedy Rockula. That one comes out on March 20th. Finally, Vinegar Syndrome. They had a pretty spectacular Black Friday sale. In addition to their limited edition of Liquid Sky, which they previously announced, we also got 2 surprise Blu-rays. Horror films. Ice Cream Man with Clint Howard, and Disconnected, which had never been on DVD before. Now, Liquid Sky is completely sold out, but there are still copies of Ice Cream Man and Disconnected, so if you didn't get them on Black Friday, better get them quick. And they're already working on stuff for 2018, including their January 2018 Blu-ray package, which will include the previously announced Penitentiary and Fugitive Girls, but also a double feature Blu-ray DVD combo, Lucifer's Women and Dr. Dracula. You can actually get all of these together as just a Blu-ray only package. That one's like $64, which is pretty sweet. But if you want the entire package, that one is going to be 40% off until the January 30th street date. Now, the DVD-only movies that we're going to be getting are Young Girls Do and the Peakorama collection, which includes the movies Velvet High and Summertime Blue. So that's it. That's all the announcements I have this week. Therefore, that's all the announcements I have for 2017. Thank you guys for an awesome year. Thank you, everybody, for listening. Thanks to Sean and Brad for inviting me on to this crazy podcast. I just love doing this, and I hope to hear you guys again in 2018. Take care, and once again, happy holidays.
section of the show where we talk about some Vinegar Syndrome.
Oh, yeah.
Let me pull up my list here and get everything listed out. Let me get everything in the right order. Hold on. My stupid ass dogs, like, these dogs lay around and do nothing until I sit down and record a podcast, and then they're at my feet. This is like clockwork. Every freaking time we record, they're at my feet fighting. It's so stupid.
Sorry you're having to deal with that.
It's just annoying. I'm getting used to it so I can actually keep a train of thought, but it's just dumb. All right. So what I just did was I sorted out the movies that we're going to spend some time on. These first 3 Blu-rays we'll breeze through fairly quickly, but I do want to mention them just because they were released and we got to just at least give them a little shout out here. We don't have a whole lot to say about them, so let's jump right into this. The first one I'll mention really quick is Ed Wood's Orgy of the Dead, a film by A.C. Stephen, aka Girls in a Fake in a fake graveyard go-go dance topless with bad-looking monsters. Right? That's pretty much
pretty harsh. I mean, but yeah, you're right. Yeah, it's one of those movies that I don't know. It's a good background movie if you're having a party.
That's exactly what I was gonna say. Like, this is something. Maybe Halloween time, you're planning a party and you have the right people coming over that are totally gonna enjoy this as a background thing. Throw this on. There's gonna be some fun to be had. But this isn't a movie.
The interview on it, I feel like I'm the only person that watches these interviews. It's with one of the dancer actresses. And, she's adorable. She's so charming. And the whole behind the scenes of that was pretty interesting. So that is worth a look.
Was that with Nadejda Dobrev?
Yeah, I'm going to let you try to pronounce the name.
No, I had to watch some of the special features on this because I was like, what the fuck did I just watch? Because I watched this like over my lunch break. And I'm like, I'm going to sit down here and check this out. And oh my God. So I had, I couldn't obviously fit it all in during my lunch break. I was like, I need to watch some special features of this thing to see what the hell happened with this. All right, so that's all we got for Orgy of the Dead?
Probably. I don't think I have anything else to say. I mean, it is what it is. It's an Ed Wood movie. I mean,
well, he wrote it, and the script is complex and as rich as you could imagine. But I do agree, it would be a cool background, like in a bar movie, and that's about all I could recommend it.
Well, that's right. It's not directed by Ed Wood, right? It's
I said it's A.C. Stephen. But the thing is, he obviously wrote this on like a napkin. It's like there's 2 people, they die, and they end up in like a weird graveyard, and then like the vampire monster dad shows up, and girls dance and take off their clothes in various stages.
Who the fuck is A.C.
Chris will love this.
And that's it. Like, that's the script right there.
A.C. Stephen? I don't even know who that is. I've never even heard that. It's got
to be somebody's fake name. It's got to be, I don't know. All right, moving along. We're spending way too much time on Orgy of the Dead. Let's talk about Trip with Teacher. This is a 1974 film about a teacher and her students who are on a field trip who basically get kidnapped by these asshole, drugged up biker motherfuckers. It's okay.
Wow. You sounded very upset about what happens to those people.
Those bikers are assholes.
You tell him, Sean. I haven't seen this movie, but you tell him.
It's okay.
It's fine.
It's okay, like, for what... I mean, it's a 1974, biker teacher and students movie. I don't know. Like, and they're kidnapped, but
it's before Zalman King went crazy.
Okay.
It's his, like, it's like revenge. It's supposed to be like it. I feel it's one of those films that it wants to be a lot of things and just really can't decide where it wants to go. I don't know. It's just there. It's one of those old Mill Creek DVD box sets or like group movies where, kind of like Malibu High and stuff like that. That also Vinegar Syndrome releases. It's
Crown International.
Is the Crown International movies that are try to be like sexy. They try to cash in. Couldn't do it.
Yeah.
So we have 2 failures of sexy so far. This is going well.
Yeah,
it's true.
Well, I mean, Trip and Teacher, like, I don't know if they're trying to be sexy. Like, they're trying to sell the exploitation angle, but it never really goes there. Like, I feel like it just doesn't have enough to stand on in the exploitation angle, because it's a teacher and her like 17-year-old students. Like, I don't know. I mean these. It's just, I don't know. It kind of feels lazy. It feels like this came out with there must have been a bunch of exploitation films coming out around the same time, and Crown International.
Yeah, it was the 70s. They were everywhere.
Yeah, well, Crown International.
That's what I'm saying. It doesn't know where it was. It doesn't know what it wants to be.
Yeah. Oh, my dogs are fighting. You guys, settle down. Seriously. Bailey and Charlie, it's past 9 o'clock. It's chill time. Grab your bones and shut the fuck up. All right. Moving along. I'm not editing this shit out at all. This is what we're doing.
This is going to be really good for everybody.
The next Blu-ray here is 1971's The Corpse Grinders, directed by Ted V. Mickles.
No.
This is kind of like
What'd you say? What'd you say his last name was?
Yes, Mickles.
You're cutting out.
Michaels.
It's just Michaels. I believe.
Okay. This is a 1971 film. Like, it was exactly what I thought it would be. It's kind of an odd, I don't know. What made me laugh though was like that, basically bodies are being ground into cat food, and that food is making cats go psycho. That made me laugh quite a bit. The opening scene, I was howling.
I mean, the movie doesn't make any fucking sense. It's weird. It's got weird It's got super weird characters, and I think that's why I like the movie so much. Is that it's 1971. Probably written in the late 60s, made in 70, getting ready for the 71 release. It's so different from a lot of movies that were coming out around that time. It's a horror film. It's a comedy. But what I like about it so much is it's got so many crazy fucking characters. And that's what's so unique about it. And Ted Michaels he likes characterization. He likes wacky things. And I think this is one of those films that really kind of kickstarted, because he made even sequels to Corpse Grinders, like in the late 2000s before he died. I think he made like 2 additional films. I don't know if he directed them both. But, I've watched those too. Obviously, I don't care for those as I do as much as the Corpse Grinders, because he made those out of the success and the kind of the cult following of the original film. But, I mean, it's taking that kind of Ed Wood element, of kind of a DIY attitude, but also putting a little bit something more memorable, and just not like a cash grab. He was making films to really kind of stand out and be remembered. I felt like that's how I feel watching some of Ted Mickles films, especially like kind of his earlier films like The Black Klansman and stuff like that. he was making these films to kind of be iconic. It felt like he knew what would make him last. It feels weird, like, a director thinking, okay, how do I can be remembered? I think that was his whole, but I think that was something that he maybe was aware of, that he needed to be different. And I think that's why he was successful around that time. And he continued to be successful until the day he died. And he watched a lot of movies. He was a big film lover in general. And he loved films from Ed Wood and things like that. Even something like, he liked the TNA side of cinema. He liked the sexploitation. He liked the horror. He liked, the sexploitation. And he just jumbled all that stuff together and made these movies in his life. And he had a fairly decent career, into the late 80s, making films like this. And I think that's why Corpse Grinder is a little bit more special to me, watching it. Like, if you just watch Corpse Grinders just a one-off at night and not know anything about it, yeah, it's not a very good. It's a terrible movie. But with kind of the history about Ted Michaels and what he was doing and comparing it to what was around that time, I think Corpse Grinders is special. If that makes any sense. I know that, you're supposed to watch a film for what it is, but sometimes backstories, background, things like that can be a little bit more motivation to watch a movie, or sometimes you might enjoy a movie a lot more. I know, for example, you might watch something that's like, oh, that movie was okay. Hey, they filmed that movie for $100. Holy shit, that's amazing. That type of thing. I think it's the same thing with kind of something with Corpse Grinders about Ted Michaels' career.
Dude, that happens to me.
Because he...
Go ahead, Stephanie. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
No, you go. I insist.
Okay. No, he ended up... I live in Las Vegas, and he ended up here. And he worked with a lot of young filmmakers out here, like Drew Marvick,
who's on our show,
Pool Party Massacre. And he had a really cool impact here, a lot like Ray Dennis Steckler, who also ended up here. And I kind of feel like I'm chasing both their ghosts sometimes. I have like a bunch of old movie magazines that Ray Dennis Steckler and his wife used to own that I found at a random smoke shop, thrift shop. And I bought some of Ted's old videotapes that when Penn Jillette was moving, and he was having a sale like a couple months before Ted died last year. And I agree with you, like, kind of like living in the town and then going back and seeing what they've made. I'm with you. I can't watch it without thinking about the person who made it and the work that went into it. It adds a lot of charm. I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
No, and I've never known the guy, but the stories I've heard, he was just like an amazing person, like as far as like how kind he was, and even like his kids, because I believe his son is a filmmaker now, and it's just like reading interviews and knowing people that knew him, they had a lot of fun on his movie sets, and especially like kind of this, like you were saying, this young crowd. I've heard a lot of stories, and especially like Drew was saying a lot of things when him and I were talking about Ted Michaels, is that it was just kind of a, he was very helpful on insight, especially how to make a low budget film. He was definitely the king at it. And I just love everything about his career. Even he made those fucking awful Astro Zombie sequels. He just never gave up. He kept doing he didn't do anything different. It's just technology and settings and stuff changed. But he was making the same films that he was in the 60s and early 70s that he was making until the day he died. So I have a lot of respect for that. So
very nice. No, that's cool. No, I was gonna say like that happens to me quite a bit, and that's why I appreciate kind of special features and documentaries on films. Like no matter what, sometimes it does help increase the appreciation of a film. no matter how dumb the film could be, if you see like how the director interacts with the actors or the journey that it took to bring that certain film, from page to actually being in a theater or driving or whatever, like that definitely helps. Like seeing if it's a passion project, especially like you I don't know. It's weird. Like once you get context, you're definitely a lot more forgiving on the film, and the film becomes more endearing. So I totally second that. That happens to me all the time, especially these types of films. Like sometimes I won't like a film, and then I'll watch the special features or listen to the commentary when I have time, and I actually end up appreciating a film even more. Which is why I don't want to write off a film right off the bat. Like I want to kind of dig into it. But yeah, it's cool when a film can do that for sure.
Cool.
Yeah, Don't Go Into the Woods was like that for me.
You said nice. Don't Go Into the Woods is like what?
It's like that for me because when I saw it, I was like, wow, this is maybe not my favorite movie. And then seeing like the features about how they're from Utah, which kind of blew my mind, and just on the local shows talking about their slasher movie, I'm like, okay, I kind of love this.
That's cool. All right, moving on. Let's jump into this double feature Blu-ray films. 2 films by Roberta Findlay.
Yeah.
Let's talk about Lurkers first, and then move into Primeval.
Lurkers is fine. Here's the thing: is that I remember watching Lurkers a lot when I was younger. I think it came out like on VHS, like maybe early 90s. I remember watching it and digging it, and then rewatching it a few years later. Like I haven't seen Lurkers in probably since like 1995, but Roberta Findlay, she has like number one, she made like 32 movies every year.
Wow.
No. I'm kidding, but
it's amazing. 32 movies in 1 year, incredible.
She made a lot of films. I mean, she started off as a porn director, female in the porn industry, and then she got into horror and stuff like that. She's made some like really great films, like The Oracle and Tenement, which just came out on Blu-ray from that company that everybody thought disappeared, and then they came back and they released like a movie like every 6 months. I can't think of the name of them, but Tenement was just released on Blu-ray, and she's a very I don't know Roberta Findlay. I can't think of the name of it, but there's something about her movies. And Lurkers isn't a great example. I would say something more or less like Blood Sisters or The Tenement would be her better films.
Sorry, Shriek Show released Tenement.
Yeah, Shriek Show.
I thought they went under.
They released a movie like every 6 months. The last film they released was Majorettes.
Oh shit. Okay, all right. Wow.
Yeah, and they just did Tenement. So I just got Tenement in the mail. I'm a big fan of that movie. But went from her porno career to making horror films. But there's something about her films where they're what I would say is they're very dreamy, very dreamlike. There's kind of a haze over the films. It's more nightmarish, I guess you could say. It's just a weird feel that you get when you watch a movie. You kind of tell it's Roberta Findlay, and they might not be the greatest films out there, but there's something about them that's, I don't know, just feels special. Plus, a female making, starting off in the porn industry, directing, and then getting into the horror, and she was having some of these films like mainstream. In the mainstream, having them in theaters, which was pretty remarkable at the time. It's just something special about her films. I can't really pinpoint it. I don't know why I brought it up. It's just I don't know. She's always been really special for me watching the films, and even though like Primeval and Lurkers may not be the best films in the world, there's still something to them. Like, I don't know. I'm not really at words right now to explain how I feel about Roberta Findlay, but I think a lot of horror fans will enjoy her work if they're not too familiar with it already. So, anyway, that's all I got.
Very nice.
Anybody else there?
I'm good. Yeah, my dog just peed. My dog just peed in the office. I'm trying to clean it up. Yeah.
Oh.
But no, not. I really dug Primeval. So you guys want to talk about that, or Stephanie? Do you have anything else to say about Lurkers? I don't know. Not really much to say about Lurkers.
To move on to Primeval as well.
Primeval has like some of my favorite things: religious horror, monks or priests or whatever the hell. It's monastery horror. But I absolutely loved this flick. Where they were like a bunch of devil worshippers disguised as monks, which is like, you have me like right there. I'm in.
It's they're like in New York City, right?
Yeah, Manhattan, I think.
Yeah, and I'm trying to remember. I haven't watched this one in a while too, but it's monks, like, are they underground? Or no?
No, they're in a monastery. So monasteries usually are pretty simple, and I feel like the beginning of the film opens up in like more ancient, you know what I mean? In like some old monastery. Monasteries are generally pretty old and dark anyway, but yeah, it's like definitely very dark and gothic for sure.
Like they said, Satan's power is stronger on consecrated ground, so they camp out in a church.
Yeah, I remember the film. I remember it jumping around a lot. Like, I feel it's one of those old VHS movies I watched a few times. So basically, when I would like clean my room, I'd put something in that I've already seen when I was younger, so that way I had some background noise. So I'd watch movies over and over and over. That's how I'd watch movies over and over again. But I remember it not really having a coherent like storyline. It was just, but that's the part of Roberta Findlay. That's why I said it's very nightmarish, because it's like a nightmare. Like when you go to sleep and you're having bad dreams all at night, like it's just one right after the other, but none of them correlate. And that's kind of how her movies fell into place, it seems. A lot of times is that she had an idea, but she just filmed sequences, but didn't actually have a script behind it. That's not a hit against Roberta Findlay. It's just that sometimes that's how her films feel like they're presented to you. And that's like with Lurkers and Primeval. I think Primeval is definitely better than Lurkers. It's a lot more entertaining just because of like the special effects and makeup and everything. But yeah, I think it's a good pairing. I think it's funny that they put them both together because they have that kind of that same feel to me. But John, are you still cleaning up pee?
Sorry, I'm back. Sorry.
Oh, wow. Okay. You might want to put that in the notes too to edit all that shit out.
I have no idea what's like. My dog pissed all over my room, so I'm trying to talk and clean it up at the same time. Good times. Puppies suck. Do not get a puppy.
Don't say that. Puppies don't suck.
Oh, I was just wondering, because you said it's been a while, and you're talking about being choppy. I didn't think it was too choppy, so I was just wondering how much that might be a memory thing.
Oh, you see him getting old. That's
I mean,
what
you said it.
Well, I think that's a lot of her films feel like that. I don't think a lot of them are very coherent. I think they're all kind of jumbled all over the place.
Right, yeah, there's definitely like an episodic feel. Like, hi, I'm talking about dudes at a gym and eating snacks, and okay, let's go to the satanic priest now. And
yeah, but I mean, I enjoy her work. I enjoy what she does. She's still alive. Did they do an interview with her?
She does the commentary.
oh, there you go.
For Primeval, not for lookers. But that would be a really good commentary to hear. I would totally be up for listening to that commentary.
I just need Stephanie Rothman commentaries. I'm good.
Yeah, she's phenomenal. Yeah, Stephanie Rothman is just she didn't make a lot of movies, but everything that she made was just, it kind of how she fell into place with that whole with the whole Jack Hill thing. Mm-hmm. So with initially Bloodbath, that's a unique story too.
Yeah, no, I love that Arrow set because, man, that was interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I remember reading about it, but I've never seen like the different versions. I made sure I watched them all because I really like that movie in general. And Laurie Saunders is she's absolutely gorgeous.
Anything else to say about Primeval?
No.
It's a really fun flick. Pretty fun way to kind of discover Roberta Findlay for sure. This Primeval double feature is a fantastic way to introduce yourself to Roberta Findlay. I know that I'm interested in more of her stuff for sure because of this.
Watch Tenement first.
Okay.
Tenement is really good.
Awesome.
And then the Oracle. Oracle's like out by like Synapse on DVD or something.
I feel like somebody's mentioned the Oracle to me before.
It's fun, man. It's definitely one of her better movies.
Very cool. All right. Moving on. Let's talk about Demon Wind.
Oh, shit.
From 1984 is what the Blu-ray artwork says 1984. When I looked this up on IMDb, it says 1990. So I don't know.
I mean, it was definitely made in the 80s, but I mean, yeah. So, fun fact, I haven't seen Demon Wind in probably the same amount of time. Probably like 95 is the last time I saw Demon Wind. Was it good? No, I'm
Demon
kidding.
Wind is...
I'm kidding.
my jam. I mean, it's not good.
I've probably more...
It's basically like a cheap version of Evil Dead.
Yeah, it's Evil Dead ripoff, but I mean, yeah,
it's so cute.
I remember it pretty vividly. I mean, this is one of those films that I stumbled across. I mean, it had the lenticular cover on the VHS, and I thought that was a big deal when I was little. And I remember picking it up like at a box lot on eBay. And I watched the shit out of this movie for a good 5 years. I was like 8, I think, at the time that I saw it first. So, and watched it until I was like a teenager. So that's a good solid 20 years I haven't seen this movie. But I remember it. So what I liked about Demon Wind was, number one, like, it's really slow. If I remember correctly, here, you can correct me if I'm wrong. It's really slow to start because we have these introduction of all these, like, different types of characters. I remember, like, they are traveling and they get to this, like, weird town or diner. And I remember my mom laughing at the one part because they go to this diner and they ask, what do they have to drink? And what they ask for to drink, the lady doesn't even mention. Like, I think it's like soda. She's like, they have like milk and like tea, and then they said they'll have a Coke, and then she pops 2 Cokes, and then they drink them. And my mom thought that was fucking hilarious when she saw it. I do remember that. But then like she starts taking off her clothes like in the restaurant, but then like there's this lady working at the restaurant, and then all of a sudden all his friends show up. And like 2 of them are like magicians or some shit.
Yeah.
And one like starts doing karate, like, and what's like the blonde haired douchebag name? That's the villain type from like Karate Kid shows up.
I don't know, man. I'm not gonna be able to think of their names.
Oh wow, Sean! I haven't seen this movie for 20 fucking years.
Well,
and you can't remember a goddamn name?
Well, I don't remember their names. I don't think their names are really.
We'll call him Kurt or Brett.
Well, there's Corey, Elaine, Harcourt, Stacy, Chuck, Jack, Dell, Bonnie.
Dell.
Yeah.
It's Dell. All right, so like Dell is the muscle man that has like the blonde hair, and then like the 2 magicians show up, and then they just take off their like clothes, and they're like in normal street clothes. And Dell like really hates the one magician, and I remember he like pulls a pigeon out of his jacket at one point out of nowhere and goes Shazam! And I just remember that sticking in my head when I was little, like, what the fuck am I actually watching? But what I liked about it is that it's like I said, it's typically it's slow. It introduces all these characters. They get to this like his house, like his grandfather died at the house or something, and they get to this house, but then about halfway into the movie, then it gets batshit fucking crazy with all these fucking demons trying to kill them at night. But I mean, I enjoyed it for what it was. I mean, yeah, it's not a great film, but I think it's definitely one of those things that if it was more readily available, it probably would have been more popular and had a bigger cult following.
Yeah, totally. I mean, it's like a cross between Evil Dead and Demons is what it made me kind of feel like.
I think the cult following for the film was just the lenticular cover that everybody remembers seeing at the store. But I don't know if a lot of people actually saw the film because, it's one of those movies that was kind of tough to get. I mean, I just sold my VHS copy I had for $80 fucking, you moron, on
Jesus
eBay.
Christ.
Yeah. After the Blu-ray came out, like I had the Blu-ray in my hand and I sold it for $80. It was pretty much the best day of my life. But yeah, I really enjoyed the film as a kid, but I just kind of like how it escalates. It gets really silly. I remember like the house not being together. Like it's broken down, but when they walk through the door, it's like they're in a cabin, or they're actually like in the house, but like is that ever explained in the movie? I can't remember.
I don't know if it is. If it is, it's kind of half explained, but
because they like it's just one wall with a doorway, and then they walk through that doorway. They're in there, but they can't escape because this wind fog keeps coming by and like puts them in different places, right?
Yeah, they're trapped because in this house, some shit had gone down previously, maybe with his grandparents or even farther down the line. And like I can't remember the timeline that it opens up in kind of like the Wild West kind of feeling. I think, but yeah, they're trapped there, and so you just kind of assume that something
early 1900s. It's not wild.
Yeah.
This is
you kind of assume, you kind of assume that there's something, they're either kind of interdimension or something's just keeping them in this area, and of course, like stuff's going to be a bit off for sure. So I kind of never really questioned it. I was just kind of like, well. They're stuck here and shit's about to go down. So, but it takes a little bit for them to get there. And yeah, that the guy who knows the kung fu or the karate, he's a part of some very very entertaining scenes, especially his setup when you learn that this guy knows karate.
Yeah. And then, like, for some reason, they have a shotgun. If I remember correctly,
they're packing. One of the friends has a couple guns.
And it's like, wow, man, what a group of friends you have. Like, and it's hard to believe. If I remember correctly, it's hard to remember like how all these people are friends because they're all assholes to one another.
They don't like each other, and somebody is dating one of the girls, and one of the other guys. Because they have I don't know. It's
because like the lead guy that's there for his parents, like he has that blonde-haired girlfriend, but like when they're at the restaurant, like his other friend comes in and like kisses her, and then he kisses his actual girlfriend, and it's like, what is actually happening? Why are you letting him do this?
That's why.
Yeah, that's why I keep. Oh, that's right, because he like gives her. He keeps saying that in the movie, like after he kisses her, right? He says that's why I keep her around. Yeah.
Any random thing. That's why I keep her around.
Yeah.
No,
this
is a lot of fun. Definitely, if you're a fan of just goofball '80s demon type flicks, in the vein of Demons or Evil Dead, for sure. Like, you know, it just has a lot. It's a goofball flick, but it's a ton of fun. And there's some fun little gore gags in it too.
Yeah, and that Sherry, what's her name? She's from Slaughterhouse. She's in this movie, and she actually like became like a stunt girl or something like that, which is pretty cool. I think she was
Sherry Lay.
What?
Sherry Lay. Leigh.
Just say Lee. It's probably just Lee.
Is it Lee?
Like Janet Lee.
Is my head in the gutter? My brain in the gutter?
Yeah, but she was in. I think that's the one that was in Slaughter. I think.
Yeah, she.
IGH is Lee.
Is it Lee? Okay, my bad.
Yeah, like Janet Lee.
Okay, all right. I'm the asshole. Okay. No, she has a lot of stunt.
I wouldn't say you're an asshole. Credits. It's just like you're really good at saying names.
Wrong.
That's why we keep you around.
That's why we keep.
Dude, she was a stunt driver in Torque. What?
Yeah, she became a stunt woman. Yeah, it's just like she's only like in a few movies. I can remember because she has a very like her face. She is a very what do you call that? She has very striking standout features.
Strong features.
She has strong features. She has a strong jaw. Mm-hmm. Yeah, there you go.
Mm-hmm.
But
she looks badass.
I like Demon, and plus when all the friends start to turn, it's a mix between Evil Dead, Night of the Demons, shit like that. Demon Night before Demon Night was out. It's very and it's just like they're all coming out of the barn. It's like becomes like this Night of Living Dead thing where they're trapped inside the house. But I will say that it does pay off towards the end because I remember the ending.
Yeah.
When they're trying to break in and you can't really trust anybody because everybody's becoming a demon, and it's just I think this is definitely one of those movies that's a safe play for a lot of people that like horror films and like gore films. That this is a safe movie for people to watch, and I think it will finally gain the cult following it deserves, whether it's not based off its iconic cover art. I think that this is a film that can stand alone.
Well, they did.
I think people like it.
Yeah, if you got the limited edition, you got the lenticular art. Like they recreated that artwork for the Blu-ray. But I think all those are sold out because I did not get the lenticular cover. So, which is, by the way, which is an incentive if you're going to do, because this wasn't like a Black Friday, announcement, but when they say they're going to release like a lenticular cover or a special slip cover, like they're one of the few companies that I'm like, make sure you get the slip cover because they always like
Jack Frost had it.
Jack Frost comes to mind for sure, and then Demon Wind. when they did that cover, but definitely if you can get the slipcovers on Vinegar Syndrome shit, because they do it right. All right. Stephanie, anything to say about? Do you have anything to say about Demon Wind? I'm sorry,
Yeah,
Brad and I have just been verbal diarrhea right now.
It is cute. No, I agree with you. It does conjure up a lot of these beloved movies, but it still has its own flavor, and I think it really knows what it is. There's a part where it has like a woman beckoning, the classic gorgeous woman out of nowhere with lighting and fog beckoning, and the two guys look at each other and we're like, well, that's a trap. And that was kind of refreshing to see that. Yeah, I just think out of a lot of the recent Vinegar Syndrome releases, it's probably one of the bigger crowd pleasers.
Yeah, I think a lot of people will dig this if you haven't seen it.
Yeah.
So it's a safe one.
All right, moving along, we had a couple more here to cover. Next up is a film by Gorman Bechard, Psychos in Love from 1986.
Yeah. I know that's right.
This is an odd little kind of I don't know if I would call this horror. Like, it's more of a macabre comedy about this couple.
Macabre.
Yeah. Who basically they're basically serial killers, and they meet a cannibal who they basically want to maybe strike up a deal where they kill and he gets to eat what they kill. But there's this lovers quarrel going on. Kind of, their relationship stuff going on as well. And it's like narrated in he breaks the fourth wall and kind of narrates the story. That's what I got from it. I wasn't a big fan. Brad or Stephanie, please indulge us.
You are
the plot details and why people think this is good.
Well, since I've been talking so much, I'll let Steph take it over.
Oh, thanks.
But I will put a lot of my input in.
Yeah, unlike Sean, I love this. It definitely, even though it is about a serial killing couple and there is a cannibal in there, this isn't remotely a horror movie. It's very meta, very tongue-in-cheek. I think this would be a great double feature with Eating Raoul. I think adds a lot of similar tonality and sense of humor with that. It's crazy. It's really funny. Yeah, I'm kind of shocked you didn't like it, Sean. It's so much fun.
I don't know if it was me watching a lot of these films within the same weekend where I was just kind of like, I don't, but yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where there's expectation versus like what the movie actually is. So I don't know. Maybe upon further review, I would have a cleaner palette.
But that's the thing about it is that you're expecting something, but that's not what you get at all. You're getting something completely off the wall.
It's a comedy. It's an absurd comedy, basically.
Yeah, but I don't know. It's like if John Waters and Adam Rifkin made a movie together. That's kind of what Psychos in Love feels like to me. That's
great. Yeah.
And I don't know. There's something about it where it's like a biography at a time, like an autobiography of this guy. Like, yeah, he does break that wall, but it's in a comedic sense. You're not getting to know the characters more through it. It's almost like there's a little bit of stand up. I mean, he even like takes a time out and like steps forward and starts telling another story, and kind of meets this girl. It's not really like it's a kind of almost even like a satire in a way. I mean, it's it with how the movie is directed and presented, it feels a lot like the original of Attack of the Killer Tomatoes. Even with some of the comedy, I know that's a weird pairing, but that's kind of the vibe that I get from the film as far as like how the comedy is stretched out and how it's portrayed. But I think Psychos in Love would be for people that, even though I hate the movie, I would say like something like Death Row Game Show that Vinegar Syndrome also released. But I think Psychos in Love.
I love Death Row Game Show. I don't know. This one just missed for me. I don't know. It just, but I do have a respect for it. Like I respect the film and what they tried to do. Just at the time, it just didn't hit for me. Maybe a couple months from now, I'll revisit it and I'll have a different take on it.
But it's not one of those things where it's like laugh out loud. I just think there's a lot of subtle comedy in there. It's a lot of little great moments. It's a lot of good one-liners. I think the lead is I think both characters are very charismatic. And we just kind of like watching these people just playfully kill people and bond over the joy of murdering others. And it does get really bloody at times. But I think that it's just one of those movies that, for fans of, like I said, John Waters and Adam Rifkin, I think this is definitely for them. So
yeah, there's a lot of satirizing of like meet cute relationship scenarios that I got a big kick out of them subverting that and like, hey, it's like your turn to clean out the sink filled with body parts. Oh, okay, I did it last time. Like, yeah. It's all over the place, but I thought that's where its charm was.
Nice.
Yeah, and it doesn't stay kind of on the same line of once they hit the joke, they continue with that joke. They do try to, jumble it up, even throwing another killer in there to see what would happen with this couple. But one thing that I love about the movie that it's so weird is that the whole grape speech is said probably maybe 5 or 6 times, and it's like, did the Burchard, the guy that directed it, did he really think that was like that was his best thing? Like it feels like that was a joke that they really thought was funny. Yeah. And rewatching it, yeah, it's funny when it pops up, and it's actually really funny when she says it. Because he goes on a rant talking to the camera about how much he hates grapes, and then she says it, and they get along with each other. But even at the end of the film, they're still they're coming out of the building and they're saying it. But yeah, it's just really slapsticky at times. But I think it's more almost situational and very subtle comedy, like Steph said about, clean, just normal run of the mill things, but in a way that a killer would say it, or dealing it with as serial killers in their house. And I think that's kind of the mindset you have to. I would really like to know what John Waters thinks of it, though. This definitely seems like something up his alley.
Now this is a disc that is stacked. Like I'm thinking this could be one of the instances where if I really dive in and listen to these, there's 2 commentaries, there's a bunch of interviews, and there's just a whole lot of extras in this disc. So I'm wondering if maybe that would help. Maybe I would appreciate it more if I dug into all that. I mean, this is obviously a film that people find endearing. So otherwise, Vinegar Syndrome wouldn't put so much work into gathering all this together for it. So, did any of you check out the special features on this?
No.
I need to dive in a lot more, especially with the short films. I watched a little bit of some of the interviews, and that was interesting because this is definitely the kind of film where you're like, okay, what was going through their mind when they wrote this script? when they hired everybody? Like, what was it like on set?
Yeah, and
this thing is packed.
He's a definitely kind of all over the place director. I mean, I know that everybody has it now, but one of their Black Friday films is another film by Gorman Bechard for Disconnected, which is a great, like, really weird slasher. But that's kind of like what he does, and also like with Cemetery High, he also made all the films. Like, he made like 4 or 5 films, like all back to back, and he takes like just normal stories, but he puts something in it to really spice it up and take the film a totally different route. Like Disconnected, I mean, it's a slasher, but it's got this weird vibe to it, to where it gets like really it's just a very odd movie. And I think that's why he is good. Going back to like something like Ted Mickles, Gorman Bechard really tried to do something different with his normal stories and basic stories he was doing. Having maybe more eccentric characters, kind of like in Psychos in Love. Like, everybody is a character, and that's why I like about it. Like, we just don't have the couple being eccentric and crazy. Everybody around them is nuts. Everybody we meet in the film has some kind of quirk. And I think that's why I like it, because it's very almost like stage play-ish at the time of like setting it up. But yeah, it's one of those films I feel is super underrated, and I think it will have a fan base once it hits that kind of arty crowd, because I think it is more of an arty type sense. I don't think your normal gorehound people will like this movie. I think it does take a group of, even though I trash it, like even like the Trauma kids, I think this is something that they could really enjoy too, because it has kind of that Traumaville aspect. I know I shit on Trauma and I shouldn't compare it, but it does have that type of comedy. So I think that's maybe where the fan base would be.
Huh. Interesting that you say like stage play. Like I can actually see this being adapted as a stage play.
It
was it?
They have footage on the disc from it. Yeah.
Oh shit! Hold on.
Not that long ago.
I didn't know that.
That's fantastic. Yeah, highlights from Psychos and Love stage play. Okay,
just shows that I'm motherfucking right.
All right.
Yeah, I didn't know that, but yeah, I think it's a unique script, and I think it's it's fun. It's even if you weren't watching the movie, I think it would be a very fun read.
The dialogue's fantastic in this. I think it is special. But I agree. I don't think it's for everybody, and I don't expect people to like it. And if they don't like it, I'm not gonna give them a hard time, because I think there is kind of a selective group that will like something like this if they ever watch it. So, all right, cool. Let's move on to our final film. This one probably has one of my favorite covers. because I don't know if this was an original VHS, artwork, or if they created this themselves. But the film is called Blood Beat from 1982.
Oh no, the original cover was I think Trans World. Okay. I just sold this for like $50 itself. But it had like it was like a samurai sword on the front,
with the blood on it. Oh, okay, yeah, that artwork's
and it's
pretty boring,
and it's got like a mask in the background. Okay. But this is one of these films that was really hard to track down. It suffered a VHS release. It got pirated quite a bit. That company that somehow their DVDs got out like on even Amazon and everything. It was I think it was like Lucky 13 or something was the label, but it was just bootlegs, and they bootlegged the fuck out of this movie. Blood Beat is a weird fucking movie.
Yeah, it is.
So my favorite thing to do, even though we're going to get into it a little bit, I sold so many of this copy of the film at Spooky Empire because I was helping run in the Vinegar Syndrome booth. There's 3 easy movies for me to sell to people. 1, Demon Wind, because all you have to do is say it's an Evil Dead ripoff. People dig that. 2, Nightmare Sisters. I say Michelle Bauer, Leanna Quigley, and Brink Stevens
that's an easy
play
sell.
nerdy college girls that turn into succubi and like kill college frat boys. That's easy. And then another one is Bloodbeat. And Bloodbeat might not be a great movie, but if you tell people that this woman who lives in Wisconsin gets possessed by a Japanese samurai warrior, I would say my mind would just melt right there, and I would say, okay, yes, I have to see this, because why would any, like, how is that even a thing? How is that even written down? How is that even processed? Like, hey, I want to make a horror film. Well, why don't you make this woman be possessed by a Japanese samurai warrior?
Why not?
Dude, that's brilliant. Let's action. Like, what?
The problem I have, though, is that I feel like it takes way too long for us to realize what the hell is going on. Like, that's such a great premise, but I feel like in an 86-minute movie, like, it should get to the goods a little sooner than it does. Or am I wrong?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's mostly due to budgetary constraints, to be honest with you.
Yeah, it's definitely.
Yeah, I agree.
And it feels like half the script is improv, too.
Yeah, they could have thrown some extra kills in there, but I think it leads up, and it's also kind of a Thanksgiving Christmas movie at the same time. It takes place during the holidays. I think specifically, though, it takes place a lot around Thanksgiving, if I remember correctly. But yeah, it's a holiday film, fun for the whole family. But while watching Bloodbeat, I think that it's fun to like pause it and breathe and say, what is actually going on? And I think it's a fun little party movie. Have some friends over, open up some like fucking really, really hard liquor, do a couple shots before you hit play.
Maybe some wild turkey.
Yeah, and I think you would enjoy it. But it doesn't make any fucking sense. It's crazy as shit. It's trying to play off the whole slasher genre, something like Jason or anything like that, making this a samurai warrior with this woman. But it doesn't make any sense. It's weird as shit. But I think it does have the ability to kind of become more of a cult classic, just because there's not too many movies where at the end of the film you would say, oh yeah, there's plenty of things like this. And that's the respect I have for it, is that filmmakers that were making movies between like 1982 and like 1988, there was this specific thing that they were looking for, and it was an easy sell. Of course, slashers, ghost stories, stuff like that. Mostly slashers, easy sell, which that's what this is. But at least they were trying to be completely off the wall insane with it, and that's what the respect I have. Maybe didn't make any sense. Oh well. But it's awesome for a company like Vinegar Syndrome, even though everybody knows we love them, and obviously if you listen to the show, you love them too. But to give something the time of day is something as crazy as fucking Bloodbeat, no. It's insane to me that when I first heard they were releasing this movie, Bloodbeat's always been in the back of my mind because we did it for a holiday party one time when my buddy Brian lived near me. Every Thanksgiving and every Christmas, we would do kind of on the weekend, we would do kind of a movie marathon. So we called Thanksgiving Slashersgiving, and we called Christmas Killingmas. And we would play like maybe three or four films, trying to pick a film around the holidays. And he actually discovered this film on his own, he was like, hey, there's this movie called Blood Beat. And I was trying to remember. I was like, man, that sounds so familiar. And it was one of those movies that I just completely like kind of forgot about. I had the tape. I watched it maybe once when I was younger, and I obviously didn't think of much of it. And he read the story, and I was like, yes, I've seen that shit. And I was like, that's crazy. I haven't seen it in years. And, you know, we watched it. We were a few beers in and alcohol with the party, but it went over really well. Just because when people are watching it, if they're not completely blackout drunk, they're watching it and they're like, man, this is so weird. And I think another fun movie to like compare that to is just kind of the weirdness and how it's set up is a movie called Doom Asylum, which I'm hoping and praying that Code Red puts that out on Blu-ray because they put it out on DVD. Doom Asylum is insane. Like the dialogue, you talk about improv, that shit is fucking improv. Like, I know this is off the subject of Blood Beat, but there is a moment in Doom Asylum where this woman lost her mother, and she has this boyfriend, and they're along the road where they used to live, and she finds a makeup compact on the ground. She picks it up and she goes, "Oh, my mother's." And one of the guys says, "She's been dead for years. What are you doing?" And she's like, "I miss my mom." And her boyfriend turns to her and says, "Baby, you can call me mom." And for the rest of the fucking movie, she calls him mom.
I use that line. That's how I got married.
It's fucking insane. But anyways, like Blood Beat, it's insane. And then once like the last 20 minutes kick in when they're inside the house, and fucking, you know, the samurai from Neon Maniacs basically comes out and starts killing everybody. Like it does get up there, and it's a lot of fun. So I hope people enjoy it.
Well,
I mean,
I'd say be patient and get to the end. I had a hard time getting through this 86 minutes.
But you watch movies like at fucking 11. If you were at home alone, here's this thing, Sean. If you like, and
the way we watch movies is definitely different than most people.
Right. But here's the thing: is like
that.
I have to, like, I've said this quite a bit, and I think I have to finally, you know, eat my words and say you're right. Is that you are right? I think some movies, depending on your experience, can change how you feel about a movie. You know, in watching films in theaters, watching films with friends, I guarantee you, if you're alone in your home watching Blood Beat at 11 p.m. on a fucking Saturday, you're going to fucking fall asleep and think it's the worst movie ever made. But if you're watching on a Friday night at 7 p.m. with 10 friends and a lot of brewskis, I think that you're going to really enjoy yourself. So there you go. Yes, depending on the audience and who you're with, I think this could definitely be one of those films that would it would help it along. It would improve it if you actually had a group of people watching.
And that's so we've been chatting this whole time, and poor Stephanie's just probably falling asleep right now as we're chatting. Stephanie, did you get a chance to watch Blood Beat?
I did, and I agree with you because I did not see this with any friends or beer. I was bundled up in my bed, sick and alone, just watching this. I'm like, what the hell is this? God damn it. I hate it. So I don't recommend seeing it when you're by yourself completely miserable, because I did not have a good time with it at
Agreed. All. That's the hard thing with sometimes getting through these films, and like people who are like professional critics. Like, I really don't understand how you guys do it. Like, I don't, because, you know, sometimes like feeling like, because, you know, you have this stack of movies and you're like, fuck, I gotta get through these. It's not like, hey everybody, let's watch this piece of shit, you know, and everybody cheers and you break out the freaking bourbon and the, you know, local breweries, beers and whatever, all the hipster beers, and or maybe it's just PBR, right? Everyone brings all this out and you're having a good time. Like, I got this stack, and I'm like, fuck, I gotta talk about this sometime this week, and we just put it in and watch it at 11 o'clock at night. Like, it definitely changes how you approach a film for sure. And if you're hearing us talk about these films and you've watched these in a more of a get together situation, like, I would love to hear your experience, because me,
and people have seen it in theaters, and I think that amplifies the experience.
Totally,
because a lot of people, Vinegar Syndrome will do screenings and stuff, and people will see things, and they'll go crazy over it. Yeah, and I have this running debate and joke with some close friends of mine, where they come to the movie marathons I host, and the movie nights on Wednesdays that we usually do. I don't really necessarily. I still stand by it, but I understand what people mean. I'm not being a pretentious asshole about it. Is that I don't really believe in a movie so bad that it's good. I believe that you either like a movie or you don't. Mm-hmm. But I do understand that sometimes, like, quote unquote bad movies, are fun. And this is something that Blood Beat would be. It would be a bad movie, but there's, I don't look at it as bad, because if somebody says, hey, watch this terrible movie, I'm not going to fucking watch it. But, if someone says, hey, I think you will enjoy this movie, it's really silly, it's crazy, then that is a little bit more appealing to me. Like, when I introduce a movie at a marathon, I'm not going to say, man, this movie's a really piece of shit, you're going to love it. No, it's like, hey, this movie's a lot of fun, or I'll say, hey, guys, get some beers, let's watch this. And I think that sets it up. And, and I think there is also, and, this goes for shot on video movies, Sean, which we've debated a lot about, is that sometimes with these movies, you can watch a movie that's brand new in the theater, or watch something that's brand new kind of on demand, and it's just a shitty horror film. Well, like, a lot of this stuff right now is like cash grabs, and these producers behind this movie where they have a decent script, or a script they bought that's they just have sitting on their desk. They hire a director, they hire A-listers, and they have them make the movie. And it's just out there, and it's just there. With stuff like even Blood Beat, or, and like Miami Connection, they're not out there trying to make something, or, maybe one of these like throwback horror films that come out where it's like all synth score and they put the filter on it to make it look old. No, they're making a movie to do that. Like, these people that are making Blood Beat, Miami Connection, Samurai Cop, all these films, they're sincere about it. They're really trying to make a good movie. Most of the time. I mean, yeah, some of that was cash grabs because it was the 80s.
With the exception of Samurai Cop 2.
Yeah, I mean, that's here's the thing. Samurai Cop 2 is obviously a fucking cash grab. They... as far as like, hey, there's this group of people that really like Samurai Cop, how can we try to get more money out of them? Because that's a guaranteed watch. Aside from smart people like myself that still haven't watched it. But they cast like 32 porn stars in the film, and Tommy Wiseau, and they bring, like, Tommy Wiseau's in Samurai Cop 2. And they bring, I've actually watched Samurai Cop 2, but they bring in like literally like every porn star that you could think of. Tommy Wiseau, and then all the characters from the first film, which is great. But it's just like, hey, look what we're doing, guys. Wink, wink. No, that's not what people were doing when they were making Samurai Cop. They were trying to make, a straightforward action movie. Blood Beat was a straightforward horror film. We watch it now and we laugh. But at the time, it's something different. I have a respect for a film watching it and laughing at something, but they were sincere about it. I'm not laughing at their work, but I'm having a good time. And I think, that's where the debate comes in with me, is like, people say it's so bad it's good. It's like, it's not bad. It's just, we watch a movie and we're having a fun time with it, and it's just funny. It's goofy. It's weird. It's silly. It doesn't make any sense. It's incoherent. Like, I can't, it's just all those things. I'm not going to say a movie's bad. But I guess that's the world we live in now, where this is a bad movie and bad movies are fun.
Well, we can also devote a whole episode to this conversation, but I was thinking about this, like with the release of The Disaster Artist, and everyone's talking about The Room, and some people are finally seeing The Room for the first time. Like, for me, like, The Room is a bad movie, and, like, I guess people making fun of it, like, and that makes it funny, but it's, like, it's a bad movie, and all the people have just everyone's been watching it, making fun of it, and like now Tommy Wiseau is like a star because of that, but it puts him in a weird spot because I'm like, well, everyone's like fucking making fun of this guy, and I hear The Disaster Artist is great, but when I first saw The Room, I was like, and I like bad movies, like I'm very vocal about that. I'll find something to like in a bad movie, that's for sure. I did not like The Room, and I felt like everyone watching it was just making fun of it out of this guy trying his hardest to do something on his own, and then everyone's making fun of it, and we're all supposed to laugh at this guy. And I feel like we weren't laughing with him. We're like, I almost felt bad for Tommy Wiseau. Like, Wiseau, I mean, but I don't know. Like, am I wrong? Like, cause he's embraced this, right?
No, I mean, I don't know. Here's the thing about Tommy Wiseau. If you look at the whole backstory of Tommy Wiseau, he was an actor who, would just go all out, like during these auditions, and he had a hard time getting parts and everything like that. So he decided to get a lot of money together and make his own movie and cast his friends and stuff like that. So that's what he did. And he came out with The Room and he screened it, and it didn't do very well, obviously. But, it started playing at little art houses and stuff like that where people were watching it and having a good time, drinking and watching a movie and laughing at it. And I think that's kind of where it goes now. I think at this point in time, like, people are laughing at Tommy Wiseau rather than just laughing at the movie being bad. But it's equivalent to, I'm going to mention these movies, and I don't know if anybody has ever seen them other than maybe Doug Tilley if he listens to the show, but is Neil Breen. Neil Breen is very, very equivalent, to Tommy Wiseau. He made a movie. You can watch him on Amazon. You can watch this one movie on Amazon I suggested you. It's called Fateful Findings. If you watch Fateful Findings, you will fucking flip your shit, because I've never seen a movie like that. That's like fucking 10 times Tommy Wiseau making The Room. Like, it's insane. Like, Neil Breen is insane, but his movies are a lot of fun because they're fun to watch. We laugh at them. But, I mean, I think with Neil Breen, we're actually laughing at Neil Breen. I think at first we were laughing at The Room, and now since Tommy Wiseau's in the spotlight, and you're like, oh, wow, he's not acting. That's actually him. Now we're making fun of him. Because I think some of these writer-directors that put themselves in their films, like Neil Breen and Tommy Wiseau, they're playing themselves. They don't have a character. They don't have that thing that makes them that other person. They're just being themselves. Like Neil Breen, he has 5 movies, but every film he plays this elite government computer hacker. And knows all the government secrets. Basically, Neil Breen, if Donald Trump made a movie that starred him, about him, it would be Neil Breen. Like, in films, I love Neil Breen. Yeah, I love Neil Breen too, but like Neil Breen, like in the beginning, he's like, I'm an elite government hacker. I know all the secrets to everything. I'm the best hacker in the world, and people are after me. I hack into government systems all day. That's literally almost verbatim dialogue from like Fateful Findings or something like Double Down.
Amazing.
But to answer your question, yeah, I mean, in a way, Tommy Wiseau likes it. It's different if like he hid away from like the limelight and was like embarrassed that people were doing this. This would be different, but he loves that people are doing this, because in the end, like, I know there's that big debate, like, oh, we're making fun of somebody that might have some issues. We're making fun of this person. But I tell you what, in the end, if you are actually, like, I'm not talking about people that, like, watch The Room because the disaster artists. I'm talking about people that have followed Tommy Wiseau from The Room. I mean, I saw that movie fucking, like, fucking 12 years ago.
Yeah.
So, but when you follow the career and know Tommy Wiseau, in the end, right now at this point in time, when that opens wide and it's probably going to be up for awards, what Tommy Wiseau said in the beginning in his biography, Tommy Wiseau just won whatever he wanted, because this is exactly what he set out to do, and he fucking did it. And that's the amazing thing about Tommy Wiseau, and that's why I have that kind of different respect for it, because he was set out to do something like this. He wanted to change something. He wanted to be in the spotlight. And finally, like, after fucking it came out in 2005. Yeah. So, like 12 years ago, 12 years later, Tommy Wiseau achieves it. I think that's fucking incredible. And now he has fucking Seth Rogen and fucking James Franco homaging his movie and loving it. And now this whole new group of people are going to enjoy The Room.
It's a mind fuck.
Yeah, it's a disaster. And now we actually have, disaster artists. Perfect. So, like, and then we have this movie. I think it's great what's happening to Tommy Wiseau. He loves it. I don't think there's, like, people are talking about, like, mental illness now. No, the guy's fucking he just loves what he does. He's a little off his rocker, of course. But, I mean, that's how he has been since the beginning. And he's loving life, and he's embracing it. So let him have his fucking 15 minutes of fame, and let him
Dude, it's been 12 years of fame, man. That's what's incredible.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, is, like, this movie, he only had to make this one movie, and he poured all his money into it, basically. And, built these fucking sets for this movie, and, like, these big green screens, and just, like, poured his, like savings into this movie. And then, you know how much money that guy has fucking made off this thing?
God bless him, man.
God, it's incredible. It's a great story.
How do we get to this? Blood Beat is nowhere near The Room. I wouldn't think of
no. But it's still fun nonetheless.
Yeah. Well, that was my whole thing. Like, there's a fine line
quote-unquote
between
bad movies. You'll embrace it more. That's what I want people to enjoy. I want people to enjoy movies. You can enjoy something super serious like Lady Bird, which I loved, but I also could sit down and watch the fucking Blood Beat movie and enjoy it too.
Yeah.
I think I finally agree with you in that sense. I think you really have to know what you're kind of getting into and set up that that moment that you're going to watch a movie. And I think that experience would change it and make you enjoy it a lot more or less.
There's a fine line. There's enjoyable bad movies that are enjoyable in spite of everything else, and then there's just bad lazy. And if the filmmaker is, if everyone's doing all they can or trying hard, and I don't know. There's a sense of endearment, I think you can kind of tell from certain movies. Other movies are just lazy and trying to make a cash grab. You can kind of sniff those out pretty quick. But yeah, there's this fine line between, like, bad enjoyable movies and then straight up just bad lazy movies, if that makes any sense. And this is something I've been trying to explain to my wife for years, because I'll be like, this movie's amazing, and she'll be like, what do you mean this movie sucks? I'm like, no, but isn't it fun? And she's like, no, like, we're on completely different levels with this type of stuff. But yeah, there's this fine line between bad and enjoyable, but I would never say so bad it's good. Like, I mean, I legitimately enjoy some really, that I'm aware of, like, they're really bad movies, but I, for some reason, like, love them. Like, the movie Pathfinder is awful, but I love it. You know what I'm saying? That, it's that, Marcus Nispel flick with Carl Urban. It's awful, but I love it. Stuff like that. I don't know. Well, that's going to do it for this episode of the Screamcast. I want to thank all of you guys for listening. Sorry, we've been a little bit out of sorts. We haven't been hitting every week. We have crazy busy lives, everybody. And we're lucky we even get together and do the show. Patrons, I want to give you guys a specific shout out. I want to thank all of you for donating every month. We really appreciate it. I've noticed that a few of you have changed your donation from like $5 to $1 or $2 or $3. That's totally understandable. That's totally fine. What we're going to be doing in January, we're going to be taking the entire month of January off. We're going to be kind of retooling the show. We're going to try to really find some incentives for patrons that are going to work, that are going to, make it worth your cash that you're spending towards the Screamcast. We have a lot of stuff kind of on the horizon. I know, Brad, you're working on a shot on video podcast with Mike. Yes.
Mike Delaney.
Yeah. So that's in the works. That'll be kind of we're going to be curating kind of a network of sorts on the Screamcast.com. So we'll be adding, doing that show. We'll be finding a home there. So we're going to be using January as kind of a retooling month. And we have probably maybe one show left for the year. We're going to regroup here and plan that. So I want to specifically thank all of you for donating every month. Know that, we're probably going to be simplifying things and making it, I don't know. We're going to figure it out. But we have jobs, we have families. It's really tough sometimes just to get one show per week, let alone the bonus stuff that we would love to do. We're always thinking about that though, and we want to try to figure that out. So yeah, January you will be hearing a lot from us on the podcast front, but if you follow us on Twitter over at Scream_cast, you'll be hearing all about our plans and things that we're doing, and we'll probably be asking a lot of your input. So definitely go to the Screamcast.com. All of our social media links are there. Follow us on all the social media links, and subscribe to the show if you haven't, and everything. So a lot of cool stuff I think is coming your way, and just drop us a line there. I want to thank our sponsors. We're probably going to be, as in the new year, kind of retooling the sponsors as well. But we want to, of course, give a shout out to Grindhouse Video, grindhousevideo.com. I always check them first when I'm trying to find new flicks that are coming out, especially Arrow. Like, he has a really good relationship with Arrow. So he'll a lot of times have a lot of good deals on Arrow Blu-rays. Coffee Shop of Horrors, use the code Screamcast, and you get 10% off your order there. And of course, Vinegar Syndrome and Exploitation.tv. If you're not signed up for Exploitation.tv, do so. A lot of great stuff on there that's not on Blu-ray, and they have other labels, I think, contributing movies as well. Music by Wolfman of Mars, and of course, Our Identity was created visually by Kevin Spencer of Ink Spatters. Give him a shout out over at inkspatters. What is it? Is it net? Is it com? .com. Inkspatters.com. And with that, Stephanie, where can people find you online?
You can find me on Twitter at Scrawfish.
Nice. You do have a couple. You've been doing some writing on the site. Go to Screamcast.com. Find some of Stephanie's writing over there. Most recently, I think I mentioned this on the last show, but her review of Thelma, which is fantastic. And more, I believe, is on the way. Yes?
Yes.
Yes. All right. Brad, who gives a shit where he is on Twitter?
No.
Same thing. You'll find us through our social media channels. You'll find us through Scream_cast. I want to thank all of you guys for listening. We will talk to all of you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Oh, don't tell me you're leaving. The party's just begun.